Welcome to Emran's podcast, episode number 59. This is your host, Suman Silwal.
Be relentless. So pick a big goal.
Have you registered for a fall marathon? Come join Emran's pace team and me at Seven Bridges Marathon at Chattanooga, Tennessee. Visit emrans.com to get a 10% discount on all Seven Bridges Marathon events. We are happy to announce that Emran's camera crew will be official finish line photographer for Mountain to Main Street Half Marathon, 5K and 1K race on May 20th at Greenville, South Carolina. I'd like to welcome Michael Wardian to Emran's podcast. Michael is a winner of the World Marathon, 7 days and 7 continents, as well as a winner of BigSur and BigSur to Boston to BigSur. I just saw Michael at BigSur. And Michael, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing good. Have you recovered from BigSur, Boston to BigSur?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm getting ready for a couple of charity races this weekend. One for the 6K for water for the World Vision program, and then that's on tomorrow morning, and then on Sunday morning I'm doing a run called Mark's Run for Landon's High School. It's a charity for one of the schools here in the area in Washington, D.C., where I live. But I'm going to go for a trail run with my friends and my dog before the run on Saturday. So it should be a pretty great weekend, and we've got some family stuff going on. So it's nice to be home. And then next week I head to Kosovo for He for She campaign and the State Department, and then come home, and then I go to Australia for the Ultra Trail Australia 100K. So it's going to be a busy couple weeks, but it's nice to be here right now.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I told my family, because I've been on the road for a while as well, but not as much as what you're doing. So do you do extensive traveling for running, or also a business? Is it running is what you do?
I am a professional runner. I run for a bunch of different sponsors, but then I also work a full-time job as an international shipbroker. So that's something I do, but most of the travel is for running.
So whenever you travel for running, where's the farthest have you traveled? I know you have done the 777. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But
yeah, so this year I traveled all 7 continents in 7 days. So the trip to Antarctica was a pretty long trip. But then I flew home, and like 3 days later, my wife Jennifer and our 2 boys Pierce and Grant turned around and flew back to New Zealand. So I flew home from Australia on a Monday, got home on Tuesday, and left for New Zealand on Saturday. So that was a long week for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of traveling, just going back and forth. I guess you could have just stayed.
Yeah, it was a lot of traveling, and then the week before I did 200 miles, which was my biggest week ever. So that was a lot of miles on top of a lot of traveling, and it was incredibly worthwhile. And I always find something amazing every time I travel, and learn something new, and just the opportunity to share that with my wife and kids is super special.
Definitely. Before we go further, talking about your running adventure, tell us how did you start running?
It's a interesting story. I'm actually watching college lacrosse right now, but I played Division I lacrosse at Michigan State, and when I stopped playing lacrosse, I picked up running to kind of stay fit and active. I was used to working out 3 or 4 hours a day, and that seemed like a pretty quick way to get a good workout in, and I always kind of enjoyed it. So I picked it up, and then kind of got more and more into it, and was lucky enough to have a friend whose mom was a marathoner. Vicky Boyson, my friend Vince, took me to his house, and I met his mom, Vicky, and she had just finished the Boston Marathon, and that was kind of the impetus that got me to run my first race. Instead of like wanting to do a 5K or a 10K, I just decided I wanted to run a marathon. And then it wasn't just any marathon; it was the Boston Marathon. So wow. So I've been a runner ever since. 1995, I ran my first marathon at Marine Corps after I figured out you had to qualify. And then I have been a runner ever since. So 1996, I've been a runner for 21 years, which is crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. So did playing lacrosse help you to be a runner, or just being an athlete? You went from being a non-runner to now world-class, around the world runner. You do all kind of things.
No, I definitely think lacrosse was a great way to honed my skills as an athlete and made me a well-rounded individual, and kind of taught me the persistence and perseverance and dedication that you need to, achieve anything at any level in sport. And particularly, for running, it's, a lot of it is you're self-motivated, and you have to have that kind of desire. And I had that in lacrosse to, kind of be the best athlete I could be and kind of seek excellence. And I've been able to take what I learned as a lacrosse player and teammate and use that in my running. And it's kind of fed my desire to keep trying to see what's possible and what I'm capable of, and keep pushing the boundaries of my endurance and kind of what people believe is possible.
Definitely. How difficult was it for you to go from being a lacrosse player or being an athlete to a runner? Was there a struggle for you at the beginning, or you felt it was natural for you?
I had always had some level of comfort in running, but there was definitely a lot of hard workouts that went into it, a lot of dedication, and I think as anyone that runs any type of distance and for any time knows that running doesn't really care who you are or what you've done, or if you've put the time in and you're willing to do the work, then you're rewarded. And if you can't do the work because of injury or because you don't want to, or you lose motivation, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So I've been able to kind of be consistent, and I think that's kind of one of the most important things. And I think that helped me with lacrosse, and it's also helped me with running.
Was there any time as you were training for Marine Corps or as you're trying to get to Boston that running may not be your thing? Did you feel that? I felt like you're the way I'm listening right now is I felt like you felt this natural transition from lacrosse or being a runner. So
well, no, I wasn't sure if it was my thing or not. I mean, I wanted to kind of explore what I was capable of, and so I did the marathon. I did Boston figuring that I would just do one marathon. Then I realized, like I said, you had to qualify, so I figured I'd just do 2 marathons, and then I'd do something else. And I did for a couple of years. I did sprint triathlons. I ended up doing an Ironman. I did Ironman Lake Placid in 1999, and then I kind of fell back into focusing more on running, and wanted to see just I ended up going to a race called the Marathon des Sables. I had saved up my money for like 3 years, and as the race went on, it's a 150-mile race in the Sahara Desert where you have to carry all your food and gear. And I just became stronger as the race went on, and realized I had some talent for being able to suffer and do without. And I think that's when I decided I was going to focus on trying to become like the best possible runner that I could be. And so I'm still kind of on that trajectory. Like, I have a lot of other ambitions. Like, I've done some open water swimming, and I've done some long bike rides, and, there's a lot of other things that I want to do. But, while I have the opportunity, I want to keep exploring what I'm capable of, running, and in particularly like moving under my own power. And so, like, doing track stuff, that's doing stuff pushing jog strollers, that's doing stuff on treadmills, trails and roads. And I don't really have any special preference for one thing or another. I love everything.
So as long as you're moving, you're good to go, correct? Is that?
Well, yeah, even when I'm not moving, as long as I'm, trying to move, I'm happy. I'm quite content. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like right now running's the thing that I have the most probably skill at. And so I want to, see what I can do and where it can take me. But I always throw in other stuff. Like a year or so ago, I did like I said, I did an open water swim. I do, 100-mile bike ride last year. So like, I like to be able to use that fitness I have for running to do all kinds of other things.
Definitely. When you go to all these other events that you mentioned, do you try to push it yourself? Like you mentioned, you want to push the boundaries. You try to push the boundaries, or you, if you are new to that sport or new to that, you try to kind of just be part of it? How does that work?
I'm definitely trying to push as hard as I can, but in the open water swim, I was one of the last people out of the water, and it was great. I mean, it's always nice to be a beginner at something, and it's always nice to need to learn. And even this year at the Barkley Marathon, I was chasing the cutoffs, so I didn't have a lot of experience navigating, and I didn't have a lot of experience kind of doing a race like that's unmarked, and so I'm always exploring, what's new, what's different, and how does that affect me, and what does that mean for me going forward, and can I improve, or do I want to improve? Did I like it? Did I enjoy it? So yeah, I think hopefully I'll get to continue to have these opportunities to do cool and exciting and different things.
Definitely. Talk about pushing boundaries. When you push your boundaries in anything, running or biking or whatever, are you worried some days you're going to get injured? Injury is always around the corner for us as a runner, correct?
Yeah, I don't focus on that. I focus more on enjoying it or seeing what is possible rather than what the consequences may be. That being said, you have to be careful. Like I was just running in Yosemite last week, and I got really high, and it got super snowy and steep, and there was a certain amount of inherent danger in that, and that's when you have to make a decision. And I decided, okay, I've had enough. I need to turn around. I don't have the proper equipment to do anything more, and so if you don't make those decisions, you can have bad consequences.
Definitely. The reason I ask is because pushing boundaries, sometimes I feel like I'm pushing boundaries, I'm just wondering, what does it take to push a boundary? Do we back up with our trainings or just going out, I've done a Boston BigSur, I'm about a 12-hour,
Yeah,
for
that's cool.
Yeah, some people it feel like I'm pushing boundaries, but talking to you, it's nothing, not a big deal.
It's still a big deal. I mean, it's not my boundaries, it's your boundaries, and you have to decide what those are. And I think everyone does. I mean, I think that's part of the journey as an athlete, is to, make things and do things that are exciting and interesting to you. And, if that's, doing Boston to BigSur, or that's doing a 5K, I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as it's something that you're interested in and you kind of find worthwhile. And so that, as long as I can do that, I think it's great that other people do that. And, however they get excited to do things is cool with me.
Definitely. Yeah. Just an interesting prospect on this, because I feel like I'm trying to push my own boundaries all the time. And, don't we all?
Well, I think that's great. I mean, if you don't, then you never grow and you never become, there's no impetus to change. Like, I think our bodies are designed to be really adaptable, and that's great. But if you just do the same thing and you don't ever challenge yourself, to get outside of what that you're capable of, then there's no room for improvement or failure. I mean, and sometimes, failure leads to success later on, or failure tells you, maybe I don't want to do this, and I want to focus on something else. And if you don't take those risks, then you just you're perpetually locked into what you've been doing, and there's no opportunity to do something different.
Definitely, Michael. Let's talk about a little bit about your the World Challenge, 777, 7 days, 7 marathons, and 7 continents. Tell us about your journey.
I mean, it was fantastic. It's called the World Marathon Challenge. It's put on by a guy named Richard Donovan, and he and his team do an incredible job with the logistics. So the race was 33 people were competing, 32 finishers this year, people from all over the world: China, Scandinavia, Central South America, Africa, United States, and we all met up in Punta Arenas in Chile, and then we flew together to Antarctica. We did a marathon in Antarctica, jumped on a plane, like a Russian ice class plane, flew back to Punta Arenas, ran another marathon. Then we went to Miami, ran a marathon. We went to Madrid, Marrakesh, Dubai, and then we ended the week in Sydney on Manly Beach, finishing off 7 marathons in 7 days, touching on all 7 continents. And it was a journey of a lifetime. Made lifelong friends, had a really good experience, set set a world record for the fastest average time, average 2 hours and 45 minutes for all 7 of the events. My fastest time was in Miami of 2:37, I think, and my slowest time was in Antarctica. I ran 2 hours and 54 minutes, which I broke the course record in all the places we stopped, but the one in Antarctica was kind of the most dramatic in that it was about, I think, 25-30 minutes faster than anyone had ever run there before, and I think it's the continental record. So it's kind of cool to have done that. And I'd also won a marathon at the North Pole, so I think I'm one of the only people that's won a marathon at the North Pole on all 7 continents.
That's pretty cool. Tell us about how logistically difficult or physically difficult for you. I think logistics is covered by the event managers and event organizers, but
yeah, the logistics were covered by Richard Donovan and his team. But the physical challenges, there was during that entire stretch, it was 7 days of racing, but we were down in Antarctica for 3 or 4 days before the race actually started. So you're expending energy just standing around and kind of doing, shakeout runs and trying to stay warm. And so we spent a lot of our energy that way, and you're not really sleeping very well. So I think I calculated that I slept 16 hours and 7 days over the course of the races. So that's something, if I did it again, I'd like to try to improve on, is just having the ability to get some sleep, which I think would, help a little bit. And then the food was, airplane food, and I have a pretty restrictive diet in that I'm a vegetarian, that I only eat eggs and honey of animal products. So for me, getting the nutrition that I prefer was a little difficult. So my wife Jennifer kind of resupplied me while I was in Miami, and I had a big bag of food that I was kind of nibbling on the whole time. But that was somewhat challenging, and but I think, physically and mentally, we all kind of pushed each other and made each other better. And it was great to be a part of that kind of group and get to see people grow and change and, gain confidence as the races went on. And I couldn't be happier. It was unbelievable, and I feel really lucky to have been a part of it.
Definitely. So tell us about when the clock starts, when your marathon starts. Is it by 7 consecutive day, or is it a 7 days? How does that work?
So it's 7 days. You have 168 hours to complete it, and I think it actually worked out that it was seven calendar days. So we were well within the time, because the time changes as you're going between the various places. And it was actually funny. We got to Australia at the end, and someone asked you, like, what time zone are you on? And I was like, I have no idea. And we're just citizens of the world right now. We don't really know. So it's pretty incredible, but it's just time based. So just like anything, you have a certain amount of time where you can get it done, and it was a big success. We were worried a couple times, but everything worked out. So
as the clock is ticking, you all have to keep on running or keep on moving to get to location to location, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we would basically land, and within 2 hours of landing, run the marathon, and within 8 hours of landing, probably be on the way to the next place. So it was very quick in each of the places, but very, very amazing. Like you're just flying in, running a marathon, waiting for everyone to finish or finishing, and then getting on the plane and doing it again. And you just become a big family and look out for each other, and it's incredible.
So is there a time limit for place to place as you go from location to location, or because it sounds like you're in tight schedule? So
yeah, it was a super tight schedule. I mean, but that being said, I think Richard and his team did a really good job of allowing enough time for people to have the ability to do what they needed to do to finish in each place, because everyone's not running 2 hours and 45 minutes. Most people are running 3 to 4 to 5 hours. So, just to have that amount of flexibility in the schedule, and if someone has a bad day, to be able to take care of them. And they did a great job with allowing us to kind of moving forward, but always feeling like they had it under control and that we were going to get where we needed to go.
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like a fun journey. People have mentioned to me the come run, I should at least think about it, start saving money for it. So
yeah, it is definitely incredible, and it's something that I would highly recommend, but it is not a cheap endeavor for sure.
Definitely. And also, I like this. Sometimes when I visit a place, I like to stay a couple of days. So
this is not the trip for you to do that.
Yeah, this sounds like a fast forward, moving really fast, you know?
No, you're moving really fast, and you're seeing next to nothing, but you're seeing everything too. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's definitely all business. It's the goal is to get to all 7 continents in 7 days, and that's in itself a pretty incredible undertaking. And then to throw in a marathon on top of it makes it even more incredible. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of frills, and but you're moving as comfortably as possible.
And a couple more questions on that. Are you flying the private planes?
Yeah, so this is the first year where they chartered a private plane, which was, I guess, a big difference, and it allowed a lot more flexibility. And so that was something that was cool to be a part of. It was an older private plane, so it didn't have a lot of the amenities that the newer planes had, but it gave us a lot of flexibility, and I really liked that. And I thought it was well done.
Definitely. And one last question on this. Is most of these marathons were official marathon, or how does the course laid out work for these marathons?
Yeah, so they were all certified marathons, but they were all very controlled. So they were maybe 1 to 2 miles out and 1 to 2 miles back, or a circle. So the longest one was in Antarctica. It was 4 little bit longer than 10K loops. And the shortest one was probably, well, most of them were short, but I'd say Dubai and Sydney were maybe a mile and a half down and a mile and a half back. And you just did it until you were done.
Wow, definitely. That's a little different than what we have just done. Boston and Big Sur.
I mean, the views in Dubai were incredible. And actually each place, they were pretty amazing, but yeah, it was not one where you're going to take 250 pictures. You can take pictures on the first loop, and then you're good.
Yeah, you're going to see the same thing over and over. Definitely.
But that's a way that especially when people are jet lagged and they're in a foreign location and they've just come off a bus and they have no idea what time zone and where they are, and they're tired, and it's a good way to keep everyone together.
Definitely. Let's talk about a little bit about Boston to Big Sur. You're the overall winner of Boston to Big Sur. How was that experience for you?
That was great. I mean, I've done it every year since the beginning that I've been able to, and I think I have the record for Boston to Big Sur. I was hoping to challenge it this year, but I was a little slow in Big Sur compared to I think when I set the record. So I was really excited to come away with the win, and then of course the overall win in Big Sur, and then I'm 43, so I won the Masters too. So it was nice to get a triple podium victory. And Boston to Big Sur, I think, is just a great way to kind of use your endurance from one event to the next, and to have the opportunity to kind of enjoy Big Sur and get a chance to be a part of that community is always special. And then Boston is probably one of my most favorite events that I get to do each and every year, and they always do a first class job, and I just feel so privileged to be in that class of athletes that get a chance to run from Hopkinton to Boylston.
Definitely. And I talked to Adam, and he told me that you had a little talk somewhere about mile 18.
I don't know what he told you.
Yeah, he said no pressure, Adam. So.
Yeah. Well, because he's and rightly so, he's the hometown favorite, and he was getting all the cheers, and I just looked over and I said, no pressure. And he and I just both kind of started laughing, and then we got back to trying to kill each other.
It looks like y'all had a great race.
Yeah, we both did. I mean, he actually ran a lot faster than he did in Boston, and I was really lucky. Like usually he pulls away from me, and this year I was able to pull away from him, but he made me a better runner that day, and brought out some excellence in me. And I sent him a note just saying thank you. I mean, I wouldn't have done as well without him being there. And I hope that he, felt the same way about me being there. So, that's what's so important is, I think, just, making each other better. And, somebody wins and somebody loses, supposedly. But I think, if you do the best you possibly can, then, everyone has the best race they can. And, it's unfortunate that, one person is on the podium and one person is also. So, it was fantastic. I was really pumped. He had beat me so many times. It was nice to take one back.
Yeah. I have a podcast interview with him, so you may want to listen to what he says. So.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I'll forward it when it gets released. So.
Okay. That'd be great.
Michael, we talked a lot about many different things about running related. I have a series of questions I call a sprint round. Just it can go longer or shorter. It depends how you want to answer it. Are you ready for it?
Sure, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. What type of running shoes do you wear?
Hoka One.
One. So you are sponsored by Hoka, correct? Is that
correct?
So what's the favorite Hoka shoes do you like?
Right now?
Uh-huh.
The ones I tend to find myself in a lot are the Clifton 3s and the Bondi 5s. And for trails, the Challenger and the Mafate Speed 2. So I don't know, man. They have a lot of models that work for me right now. So I'm literally in almost every single model they make. So I'm quite lucky to have a sponsor where, almost everything works for me. Which is nice.
so when you do a road race, are you using some of their road racing shoes or just a Clifton or?
No, actually they have a really amazing shoe called the Tracer, and I use that at Boston and BigSur.
I need to check that out.
It's great. Mm-hmm. It's super lightweight and got a ton of cushion and nice firm ride. You get good toe off and return, and I couldn't be happier with that shoe.
Yeah, I do have a lot of pairs of Hoka. I think I'm going to wear one of them tomorrow. So for 12 hours.
Yeah, good luck with that, man. That'll be cool.
Thank you. What type of GPS device do you use?
Right now it's Suunto Ambit 3. But I don't have I've had this one for a couple of years, and I'm not sure. I've heard some good things about Garmin and some of the other brands. So yeah, I'm curious to keep checking different things out. And I actually didn't even run with a watch at BigSur. So there's I don't know. There's so many different brands that are good. I feel like I really trust my Suunto. So, but curious to see what else is out there.
Yeah, definitely. I have Ambit 3 too. I like it because if I just run it without doing anything 18 hours, it lasts, almost to my 100 mile or 10 more hours. That would be good. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I like Ambit. But Garmin can give you a little bit different, what do you call stat. What inspires you to push your limit, whatever you do running, what inspires you?
I'm inspired to just see if it's possible for me. Like what is possible? What am I capable of? And if I don't achieve, and I like to set big, audacious, like ridiculously challenging goals, and then something that excites me and scares me. And, so that's what inspires me, is to try to achieve these things that I set out for, because that keeps me motivated and interested and fired up.
Definitely. For any organized event, have you ever taken DNF?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you race, I raced last year 47 times, and, I raced normally around that amount. And if you race as much as I do, then yeah, there's definitely times where you can't finish, either because of your body or you mentally not strong enough. And, I wasn't able to finish Barkley this year, so I already have a DNF. I have a lot of successes this year, but, that was definitely not one of them. And, that was just because I wasn't fast enough. And, it counts the same as if it's a DNF. So yeah, there's plenty of DNFs, but probably less than 5 probably 5 or 6, but I have definitely not made it to the finish line, and I appreciate every time I do.
Are you a trail runner, road runner? You do all, correct? You have no distinction of running.
Yeah, I'm just a runner.
So definitely, I like that answer because I'm a runner myself. So were you strong at downhill or uphill when you race?
I'm well-rounded, I guess, in that I'm pretty good at everything, but I wouldn't say I'm extraordinary at anything. So what is it? Like a jack of all trades, a master of none? Like, there's some guys that are incredible. Like, I thought I was pretty good, and then, the more you travel and the more that you compete, you realize that you're maybe not as amazing as you think you are. So, I'm relatively good. I have some things that I do well, and I think what makes me strong is I'm mentally tough, and I'm always going to be in the race if I'm in a race, and I'm calculating and persistent, and I have some speed, and I can use it if I put myself in a good position. I usually have a chance to do pretty well. But I wouldn't say like, oh, if it's an uphill, I'm going to crush everyone, or if it's a downhill, like it's over. Or like I'd say probably if it's relatively runnable, that's probably where my strength is.
Definitely. Do you follow any training plans, or you just go out and run? How does that work for you? You do some incredible running, so is there any training plans involved, or?
Well, I coach, so I coach, and then I worked on a program called Squad Run, so I've definitely used some of the training that I created for that. But yeah, I kind of established what works for me, and I've had good success with it, and I've been really fortunate to, keep getting the results that I'm after. And so as long as I do, then, hopefully I can continue to evolve my running and my fitness.
Definitely. You mentioned that you're a vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian myself for running. I turned vegetarian. Actually, I was a vegan.
Wow.
So
awesome.
I was a vegan, but then I went to a vegetarian because family just revolt against me. So, but at least I came in the middle at least. So for you, what type of nutrition plan do you follow? I mean, for your such extensive training, racing regimen that you have, what kind of nutrition plan you have?
I just try to eat healthy. So, it's lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. I am addicted to almond butter, so I have a company called Big Spoon Roasters that I work with, and honey and eggs. And yeah, I just try to eat good, healthy, solid foods, drink a lot of water, and that's been working really well for me. And I've been a vegetarian for, 22, 23 years. And for me, it seems to be like the best thing for my body and for what I want to achieve and for recovery and for feeling good. But just because it works for me, it doesn't mean it works for everyone. So
definitely,
you gotta kind of explore what you like and what works for you. And I think that's something that I would suggest everyone do is experiment. You might be the person that likes to eat duck eggs or something, or crackers. I don't know. Yeah.
People usually ask me, how do I get my protein from? How do you get protein intake for you?
So I think by eating eggs and almond butter, I get plenty of protein. Also spinach. There's protein in beans. I think people have that as a knee-jerk reaction just because they're not familiar actually with how much protein you really need. It's an easy way to think that it's not possible for you, but I think people kind of underestimate how much protein you really need.
Definitely. What is your favorite race so far?
Oh man, there's so many. I think like I'm super fortunate. I get to travel a lot, and I'm always looking for the next opportunity. So I'd say probably the next race.
Definitely. Is there any race you have not run or you love to run one day?
Yeah, I think I'm doing most of them this year. So I was able to do Barkley, and then the 777, and then I'm doing the World Marathon Challenge was one, but then also I got into the Hard Rock 100 miler for the first time. So that one is a big one that I've wanted to do for a while, and the Ultra Trail Australia is a big deal for me this year, and I'm excited to be going there. And I feel super fortunate to get these opportunities, and hope I continue to.
Definitely. Michael, you have been running for so long. What is your best running advice have you ever received?
Best advice that I tend to remember and give is just be consistent, and I think someone said once, if you want to be a good runner, run. And I think that makes sense. There's a lot of other things you can do to supplement your running, but if you want to become skilled at something, you have to do that thing. So be consistent and run.
Definitely. I need to do that myself. You have so much running experience, running around the world, and so many things you have done. Is there any books or anything coming up for you? Are you working on anything?
Yeah, I am. I'm working on a book right now, and so I hope that that I can get that done. And it's definitely a long process, and so yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on when it's available.
So what's the difference between writing a book and running? Which one is easy for you?
Well, I think, fortunately, it took me, many years to become adequate at running, and hopefully I don't have to take as many to become adequate at writing. So, I'm hoping to get a little help on how to do the story and, what needs to be done and what needs to happen to make it, I want it to be something that people are really excited about. And so, I think, having some help to get the skill set required for that's going to take some time. But, I want to put the work in and make it something that, people are really, really interested in, and hopefully they are excited about, and kind of inspires them to do more than they think they can, really.
Definitely. If people want to follow your journey, how can they follow in the social media, or are you in the Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm in Facebook at Michael Wardian. You have to go to a fan page for me on Facebook. I have too many people on my personal account at the moment, and then I'm on Twitter at Mike Wardian and Instagram at Mike Wardian. So you can look for me there, and hope I get the chance to see you guys there. And I'm pretty active on social media, so give me a shout out, and hopefully we can inspire each other to do more and go further and go big, and then kind of feed on each other's energy.
Definitely. Before we close this interview, Michael, I wanted you to give us a word of advice to push that boundary that we talked about earlier, to find our next height or next mountain and climb that. Give us a word of advice.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm kind of one of my taglines is be relentless. So, pick a big goal, find something that excites you or scares you or empowers you, and then be relentless in trying to figure out how to achieve it. Definitely.
That sounds like a great word of advice. Michael, it has been great talking to you. Thanks for talking to me, and you're such a busy schedule. And wherever you will traveling, we wish you best of luck.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for taking time out of your day, and thank your wife and kids for letting me have a couple moments of your time. And thanks for doing this, and look forward to sharing it with everybody when it's ready.
Definitely, same to you and your family. We'll see you next race or next event. Thank you.
All right, cool. Good luck with the 12 hour.
Thank you.
Bye.
If you have a need to cover your events, from marketing to taking photos, please contact mruns.com by emailing at marathonruns@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to another episode of MRuns Podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast channel, Voice of Runners, at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and more. And also follow our social media channel, Marathon Runs, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.